Welcome to the Retirement Planning Show, your source for financial strategies to help you retire with confidence. Featuring Chip Coughlin of Retirement Income Analysts in Syracuse, New York. Chip is a registered representative offering securities through First Allied Securities Incorporated, member FINRA SIPC. And now, here are your co-hosts, Matt Halloran and Chip Coughlin.
Hello, this is Matt Halloran. Today I'm interviewing Chip Coughlin, founder and president of Retirement Income Analysts in Syracuse, New York. Hello, Chip. How are you today?
Fine, thanks, Matt.
Well, thank you very much for being with us. I'm excited because we're going to talk today about the 10 retirement roadblocks. Many people have no idea that there are any roadblocks to their retirement because they don't take time to meet with somebody like you, a retirement management analyst. So, Chip, what is the first retirement roadblock?
Well, the first one we talk about is people don't define how they wish to live in their retirement years.
Well, elaborate. What do you mean by that? Is this this sounds like kind of a big, heavy, deep philosophical question?
Well, it's something that we ask our clients to go through so they understand what it's going to be like at retirement. And we ask them to take a financial inventory. That would be a net worth statement and a cash flow. We want to see what's coming in the front door and what's going back out. We want them to manage credit wisely. We want them to invest early and on a regular basis. And we want to use the tax laws. So the first thing we talk with our clients about is trying to give them a general idea or get a general idea from them of their financial situation and their cash flow.
Okay. So how do you do that exactly?
Well, a financial statement creates a snapshot of your financial situation. And we look at that every year because it has to be updated year to year. We want to see how you're doing, the progress you're making, the problems you're running into, so that you can evaluate your situation and really project that forward to retirement. Your cash flow statement measures how much money came in your household versus how much went out. And it can be measured on a monthly or an annual basis. And we want to see how you're spending your money right now, whether you have any extra money to invest to help your situation get better over time, and how you can manage your finances to improve your net worth.
So once we start figuring out what their big picture retirement life looks like, isn't there some stuff, so you're talking about what they're doing right now. So let's break that down even deeper. So clients really need to have a strong buy-in to work with you, because it sounds to me like if they're going to provide you with all of that stuff, Chip, that's some work, right?
It sure is. We want our clients to be active participants in the retirement process, because if they don't buy in, it's not going to be as meaningful. And if they're really into it, and we're planning for that outcome, it's going to be so much more personal if they really step into it and be an active participant.
Well, would you mind sharing with us a story of somebody who has been a great client for you and who's participated in your planning process over the years, and what sort of result or retirement that they were able to live because they worked with somebody like you?
Okay, well, we have a new client. It came to us through a class I taught. And when they came in, I asked them to fill out a cash flow worksheet, a net worth statement, because we wanted to see where they were today. It's like the financial planning physical. And once they completed that, we could see what their assets were, what their debts were, and then we try to project those. This particular couple was about 5 years away from their goal of retirement, and we tried to look at the situation so that they could walk into retirement and be debt-free and have the assets they need to live the lifestyle they want. So we took their monthly budget and we really did some forecasting to see what would that budget look like 5 years from now if, in fact, we did pay off the mortgage and a few minor debts. And we did that, and we ran the numbers, and it looked pretty good. Then we took their assets, and we said, okay, you're putting money into the 401k. How much do you have now? How much do you have in IRAs and retirement accounts? How much do you have in non-qualified accounts? And we ran a very reasonable projection of what that would be at the date of their retirement. Then we took the asset at retirement, and we put our rule. We try to get about 4% income off our retirement assets. at 4%, you have about a 92% success rate of your money living as long as you do. So 4% is the number. And so we did the projection, and we showed them that giving some very reasonable assumptions, not pie in the sky assumptions, very reasonable assumptions, 5 years from now, based on our projections, they would have a certain amount of income per month. Their debt structure would be completely erased. Their living expenses through, taxes, all the usual things, utility bill, phone bill. Even we programmed in vacations because they wanted to take a couple vacations every year. We saw that they would be absolutely able to afford it based on 4% of their projected asset base and their Social Security. And it really gave them confidence that they could do this. It's attainable. They could live how they wanted to live in retirement. And it gave them the courage to say, yes, we're going to do this. Because it's a pretty dramatic step to go from working to not working. Mm-hmm. But we took it a step further. We took it one step further, which I think is very important. We talked with them about what they will do in retirement, because we really don't want our clients sitting on the couch, okay, and watching SportsCenter all day. We want them to be up and active and have a reason to get out of bed in the morning. So we went through, are they going to volunteer? Are they going to work part-time? Do they have a social circle? How much interaction will they have with their social circle? And things like that. Because they wanted an active lifestyle in retirement. We wanted to find out what they wanted to do. And did it fit with the budget that we had run for them? And it absolutely did. So they had the courage to say, 5 years from now, we are definitely going to step out. And it really, really brightened up their life. Because they'd worked for a long time, husband and wife both work, and now was their time to pick and choose how they want to live their life, where they want to live their life, and know that they have the financial resources and the emotional resources to do that. Many times we ask our clients two questions. One, are you financially ready to retire? And we can make that analysis fairly simple with some really easy assumptions. But then we look on the emotional side. Mm-hmm. Are you ready to get out? What are you going to do? What will your lifestyle be? Will you be able to fill your calendar, or will you be bored? And they answered both questions affirmatively. They were ready to go.
Well, so that's really interesting. So but one of the reasons why these people were probably successful and able to retire is actually because they started saving early. Is that one of the retirement roadblocks?
Oh, it absolutely is. We say invest early and often. And we tell our clients a small amount of money over a long period of time will give you an explosion of value. So we want our clients to get in, reinvest, and really plan to make that a part of what they do every month. You see, young clients need to have a budget, and they need to put money away for the future. They have to use the magic of compound interest, and mix that all together. They will have a substantial amount of money in their retirement plans, whether it be 401k, 403b, IRA, and so forth.
Well, my grandmother, she did specifically tell me that start saving early and then you don't have to play catch up. It sounds like that's exactly where you're at there.
That's exactly it. I have 3 daughters that are in their late 20s, and they started day one in the 401k plan at their jobs out of college and grad school, putting in 10% of their pay into their 401ks. And every time they got a raise, we talked about it. We put that raise into the 401k. We didn't improve their standard of living. We improved their retirement plan. And they didn't miss out on anything. We always ask, I always ask them, are you missing out on buying new clothes, taking a trip? What are you missing out on? They'll say, I'm not missing out on anything. So I look at the balance that they've accumulated in their 401ks from day one, and it's dramatic, because it's not how much you earn. It's really how much you're saving in your retirement plan, because over time, with compound interest, that's your future.
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, how interesting is that? So what usually seems to happen is people accelerate or elevate their lifestyle instead of elevate their savings, right?
Exactly. We do a graphic that says here is your income line and here is your lifestyle line, and your lifestyle has to be below your income. for many of our physician clients, we say, let your lifestyle lag your income by 2 to 3 years. So it gives them a chance to really start funding the retirement plan, build themselves into a very secure lifestyle, but not a lifestyle that's all show and no go.
All show and no go. So far we've gotten through the first one, which is that they don't define how they wish to live in their retirement years, which I think really does separate you. I know that's a difficult conversation, Chip, and you've actually gone through some very specific training to help you facilitate some of those questions and emotions that go along with that, haven't you?
Absolutely. We want our clients to be proactive. We want them to plan their retirement as diligently as they plan their vacations. And I know it's the other way around for most Americans, because the vacation is fun. It's coming up soon. It's in a real emotional high. And planning for retirement that's 10 to 15 years off, hey, that's kind of boring and mundane. But if you plan your retirement like you plan your vacation, you can set those goals. And if you've got enough time, you can achieve those goals. And I'll tell you what, that's exceptional. And, you know, if you have to make adjustments in your spending habits to help you achieve your retirement goals, then so be it. Because for many of our clients, they're going to be retired for 25 to 30 to almost 40 years. That's a long time. And the last thing you want to do is run out of money, have to rely on friends, have to trim your lifestyle dramatically because you hadn't planned for the future. And it doesn't take all your income to plan for the future. It just takes a little bit over a long period of time.
Well, one of the things that seems to be very confusing to a lot of people is the overall idea of the tax laws and how they can not only affect you today, but how they can also affect you long term. So that is one of the roadblocks, right? So can you break down how tax laws can affect a person's retirement?
Well, and I tell everybody today, don't base your whole retirement plan on the laws that are in effect today, because they are going to change. But many of our clients, when they come to us, are not taking full advantage of the tax laws. Let me give you an example. Their employer provides a 401k. They could put $18,000 away on a pre-tax basis in their 401k, and they just don't do it. They don't make that a priority in their financial affairs. Yet the government will allow them to put that money away on a tax-favored basis, and that done over time gives you that explosion of value. So we want to take advantage of the tax laws as it relates to pension planning so that they can put as much money away as possible. And we want to use IRAs if necessary, and really use the tax laws to their benefit even when they retire. I'll tell you, when somebody retires, it's not just the retirement plan we're talking about, because most retirement plans, 401ks, 403bs, simple IRAs, and so on, the money that comes out is taxed as income in the year it's received. Well, what if you had money in your retirement plan? You had a little bit of Roth IRA in there. That money comes out tax-free. What if you had an individual or joint account? That money, if you hold it over a year, is subject to capital gains rates, which are 15%. Many times that is less than the tax on the retirement plan. So if they had those three sources of income, some tax currently, some tax deferred, some tax free, you mix those together to get the lowest tax possible.
Wow, I guess I wasn't aware that there were that many different aspects when it came to how somebody can take advantage of those different things that are really just, almost I refer to them as low-hanging fruit, right? I mean, they're just right there.
Well, we tell our clients they should save or invest 10 to 15% of their income every year. It doesn't all have to be in the retirement plan, the 401k. If you filled up your 401k bucket and you're still able to save, you could have a joint account. If you have a spouse, you could have an individual account. You could accumulate some money on a tax-free basis, either through Roth IRAs or municipal bonds and things like that, so that when you get to retirement, you mix those together to get the lowest taxable income possible.
So when we're talking about taxes, right, there's really a lot more. In fact, I'm gonna jump ahead from this top 10 if you don't mind, because We just talked about the tax laws, and part of that really has to do with number 9. Now I'm going to totally break the rules of being a host here and jump ahead, but explain how that applies to their estate.
Okay, your estate is everything you own that has a value. And the first stop on the estate planning is creating the estate plan is to make sure that, number one, all of the beneficiaries on your retirement plans, IRAs, life insurance are exactly who you want them to be. If you've had some changes in your family, if you've had more children or whatever, we advise all our clients to go back and review who the beneficiaries are. Then going forward, we ask them to have a will. A will is a set of plans put into motion when you die, and it says who gets what and when. And many of our clients have not updated their wills in many years. So we ask them to sit down, make a list of who's important to them, and make sure that the executor that's in their will is still on their team. Many times it was their brother. Well, things happen. The brother moved to the West Coast. He would not be around to help them with their wills and distribute their assets and things like that. So those are things you may have to update. In my situation, I have a 31-year-old daughter who's very capable. So she could be the executor of my will at this point. And so we've updated to reflect that. So the will is very important. Then the estate plan. If you have significant assets, many times we'll use a trust of some type. It could be an irrevocable trust or a revocable trust. But in the trust planning, the trust is a separate tax-paying entity. The asset is owned or gifted to the trust, and it can go to a trust beneficiary, whoever you would like. And you get some good planning potential there because you can decide who gets it. Using the trust, you can remove your life insurance from your estate, so it's not includable in your estate for the estate tax calculation. Those clients that have significant assets are all, taking advantage of that as they go forward. But the overall estate planning is planning so that when you die, everything that you've got goes to who you want it to in as efficient manner as possible. Many times we tell our clients, hey, let's not have this flow through your probate estate because that might be pretty costly. It might be time consuming, and it seems to be very public. There's a public record for that. So we ask them to identify their assets, to whom they would like those assets to go, and then let's make a clear path, either through a beneficiary like life insurance or an annuity or an IRA or a retirement plan, or a transfer on death form, which can be used on individual accounts, joint accounts, CDs, bank accounts, and so forth. They go to a named beneficiary and they don't flow through your probate estate.
Now, do you have to be wealthy? I've heard this before, that a lot of people who are middle class, upper middle class, even lower middle class, they don't feel they need an estate plan, Chip, because they aren't people who they consider themselves as wealthy. So does Joe the plumber need to have an estate plan too?
Well, in its simplest terms, the estate plan could be your will.
Okay.
And an updated current will that lines out who the income beneficiaries are, who assets are to be transferred to, that is current. Because let's face it, if you did your will 25 years ago, the people that you wanted to leave assets to might not be in your life anymore. So if you have children, your children are grown, maybe there's grandchildren now. So the estate plan would be all-encompassing. And I don't think they need to do heavy-duty estate planning at that point if it's Joe the plumber. But if he owned the plumbing business and he's got a business he's trying to pass to his son or someone else, then the estate planning would be very key so that the business could pass or transfer to someone else, either his son or a favorite employee, on a favorable basis, and allow the wife or spouse to be compensated for that. So the estate planning, it's an all-encompassing issue. We're talking wills and trusts and the planning that goes into it so that everything you've got can go exactly who you want it to go to in the most efficient manner possible.
So you've talked about planning a lot, and we're going to circle back to that. But you've talked about, goodness gracious, stocks, bonds, all sorts of annuities, insurance. Tell us about number 6 and how this 6th roadblock not only applies to your practice, but how this can benefit our listeners.
Well, I'll give you an example. We had a gentleman from one of my classes come in. He was about to retire, and we did an analysis or a stress test on his portfolio, and it popped right off the page. His asset allocation was 95% equities, 5% bonds. So we immediately had to do an intervention in his portfolio and reduce that, because this gentleman is about to retire. He's taking way too much risk. His timeline is very short. The market is, at a high right now. We're kind of on a recession watch. So we had to really back off that 95% equity and make it more appropriate for what he was trying to do. We don't want our clients to have a series of poor returns right before or right after they retire that would severely, cripple their retirement account. Because if you had a series of returns prior to retirement or just after retirement that were poor, it could have a very disastrous effect on your portfolio going forward. So we have to have the allocation reflect exactly the timeline they are involved in. And let's face it, they did a study a few years back, and the person that did the study won the Nobel Prize for Economics, and they looked at the primary determinants of portfolio performance. And what they found out is the two things that people have keyed on since the beginning of investing: security selection, picking the right stock or fund, and timing, getting in at the bottom and getting out at the top, accounted for only 10%, a little less than 10%. The asset allocation strategy accounted for over 90% of the primary determinants in any portfolio. So that said, we want to get the asset allocation strategy right on. And we have to look at their time horizon, which is a big determinant of risk. The longer you have, the more risk you can take categorically. But if this gentleman had, 6 months till he was going to retire, he was in tough shape. The market could go against him, and it would really impact his retirement going forward. Because we ask the question all the time to the clients: what would upset you more, losing out on a 10% gain or losing 10% of your portfolio? Let me say that again. We ask the clients what would bother them more, missing out on a 10% gain or losing 10%. And every client that I've asked that question to says they don't want to give 10% away. They don't want to they don't want to lose 10% from their portfolio. That said, you have to adjust the asset allocation so that it's more conservative, or we take the wind out of the sails the closer they get to retirement. So having the proper asset allocation makes a lot of sense as you get closer to retirement. And we like to look at that when they're within 5 years of retirement.
Okay. So how often, now you're just talking about when you get close to retirement, but if I'm a younger person and I'm working with you as my financial advisor, when you're talking about asset allocation, is there a predetermined time of that allocation and when you make adjustments, or do you mind sharing with our listeners how you figure that out?
Well, when we do a review with our clients, I ask them a series of questions. And what I'm trying to find out is their attitude towards risk. And many times that has to do with the current conditions in the market. The market's very volatile right now, so I'm a little nervous about risk, or the market is really taking off and I want to get on that train and go with it. But we talk to them about their timeline and how time mitigates risk, but we don't want to take foolish risk. So there's prudent risk and there's foolish risk. We had a client in the past that wanted to buy all tech back in 2000, 2001. He just wanted and he didn't understand risk because he was young in his physician career, and he didn't have any downside. He was just starting out. He was putting money in the 401k profit sharing plan, and he didn't understand the risk and what it would do. And when the market went against him in 2001 with the tech bubble, it almost wiped him completely out.
Wow.
It wiped out his 401k. He was still able to earn an income, a pretty good income, but it wiped out his 401k. And so he lost about 4 years of deposits because he was taking risk that wasn't prudent for the timeline he was involved in. And he was young, but you have to diversify, and diversification reduces risk. And you got to have some of all of the asset classes. And he had concentrated his portfolio in high tech, and it really came around and got him.
You've talked about a plan, and you've sprinkled your entire presentation in the interview today talking about planning, but plans can only help so much, can they? Or am I being pessimistic about a plan?
No, the plan is the important part. We have to look at that, and we have to refer back to the plan. Every time we're talking about goals, let's look at the plan and how we can achieve those goals. Let's build those into your budget and make sure we can get that done over a period of time. I tell my clients, listen, Rome wasn't built in a day, and neither can your financial empire. So we have to take time and build it correctly. We have to have, for instance, I want all my clients to have an emergency fund. Sometimes we call it the opportunity fund. And if your car dies or your hot water tank goes or you got a problem with your roof, we don't want you to put that on your credit card and pay interest on that for a period of time. We want you to use your emergency fund to solve that problem and move on. And so the plan is the key. It's the backbone to our decision making. When I tell people to have a budget, we look at the budget. And I say the budget is part of the plan, but it is your backbone to making decisions. Is it a need or is it a want? Will it fit in the budget? If not now, when will it fit in the budget? And we try to make prudent decisions so that they are always moving ahead with their financial affairs, never trying to make up ground.
So you're saying that you have to plan for the unexpected, because that's actually number 7, is that one of the biggest roadblocks that people face is they don't plan for the unexpected. So if I'm hearing you correctly, it sounds to me like you're not just my financial advisor for preparing me for retirement. You're talking about daily stuff that you're teaching me to do on a regular basis in order so I can hopefully achieve that life that I've worked so hard for.
Well, it's like holistic planning. It's like your physical health. It's an ongoing process. It's not I'll do it once a year and see how I've done. We want to continue good financial behavior throughout the year. And when our clients come to us and they say, hey, what do you think? Should I do this or should I not do that? And we explore both sides of it. If you do it, how will it affect your monthly budget? What will it do for you downstream? Or if you don't do it, how will that go? And many times that may relate to a second home. It may relate to a tremendous vacation that they're thinking about taking. It could relate to some planning that they'd like to do for gifting to their children, for college education and things like that. So we have to have a plan, and if we have enough time, we can achieve those goals. But it has to be planned for in advance so the goal can be achieved. And I'll tell you, there's no better feeling in the world knowing that you had a plan, you had a goal, you spent some time, you worked hard, and you achieved that goal. That is just tremendous. And it gives our clients such a peace of mind that they can do it. Because many times they think, oh, I'll never get out of this, or I'll never do this right. Once they start achieving those goals, it really takes a hold. And they can see that little tweaks in their financial situation can have a big impact downstream.
Earlier in our interview, you talked about your daughters taking advantage of their 401ks and putting their promotions, their increases in their take-home into their 401k. But let's talk about number 8, which is that people a lot of times don't take advantage of an employer benefit plan, and they don't choose the best way to take money out of that retirement plan. So let's talk about number 8.
Okay. If your employer provides a retirement plan for you, it's a great way to save for retirement because the money comes out of your pay pre-tax in a 401k, 403b, or simple IRA. It comes out pre-tax. It accumulates on a tax-deferred basis, so there's no tax along the way. And it's been proven. If you look at, we could give examples, if you look at accumulating money over 15 years, even paying the tax-deferred account will have more assets in it. And the reason is, even though you're paying tax on the other end, the money grew or compounded without the tax coming out. So it compounded to a higher number. And then after tax say in 15 years, you'll end up with more money. So using the retirement plan, taking advantage of that, putting pre-tax contributions into the retirement plan is a great way to save for retirement. Now, on the other side, people don't choose the best time to take their money out of the retirement plan. We've had clients call us while they're still working, wishing to take money out of the retirement plan for a college education for their children, for a second home, for something as simple as a snowmobile. And I dread those phone calls because I have to give out advice that they don't want to hear, to say it's way, way too costly to take money out of your retirement plan pre-59 and a half. Because if you take money out before you're 59 and a half, the money is taxed whenever you take it out. But before 59 and a half, there's an additional 10% penalty that the IRS puts on that money. You see, and I tell this to our clients, the government is whispering to us louder and louder every year, take care of yourself, because we can't do it. So saving for retirement is taking the pressure off trying to live your lifestyle on Social Security. So taking care of yourself means allocating your resources correctly, living within your means. On a negative, we had a client come to us. He wanted to retire in 6 months. He had a $450,000 house with a $200,000 loan on it. He also had a car that had a $25,000 loan on it. And he said, Chip, am I going to be able to make it? And I said, in the short term, yes. We ran the projections. He could make it for about 2 years, but he would deplete his savings to carry that mortgage and to pay for that car. So the hard part was saying you need to sell the house because his kids were grown and gone, not to come back to town. Buy a condo or a small house, pay for it with cash, sell the car, and buy a smaller, less expensive car so that he could get around. But that saved him over $3,000 a month in his budget.
Wow. Just
those two things. So making those changes would allow him to retire at 62, live in a nice house, but not a monster house, and have a car to drive. The other way, he would run out of gas in a very short period of time. So the best time to take money out of your retirement plan is when you're retired, not before. And how to take money out of the plan, we talked about that earlier. You try and mix and match a little bit from the 401k, a little bit from your non-qualified accounts, the individual or joint accounts. Maybe if you have a Roth, something out of that. So we're mixing different tax structures together. The ultimate goal is to pay as little tax as possible. Because let's face it, I think taxes have to go up because the cost of goods and services within the government today are dramatic, and they're only going to go up. So they're going to have to raise that money somewhere. So if we can minimize the tax bite now by putting money in the 401k, and if we can minimize that tax bite when you retire, that's more money for you.
All right. Well, we are closing in on the top 10 here. So if you don't mind, can you walk us through and start with one, and then we will finish up with your 10th one?
Okay. Number one, we tell everybody they don't define how they wish to live in their retirement years. Again, we talked about that earlier. You have to plan there. You have to really have a dream list. We want to know what your goals and objectives are, what your dreams are, so that we can make a plan for you. Number two, clients don't set financial goals to achieve their lifestyle goals. If you want to have an income of $6,000 a month in retirement, where is that going to come from? Look at your Social Security, and then look at, if you have a shortfall, look at what you can put into your 401k for the remaining working years you have in front of you to beef that up to get to that monthly income that you need.
Okay.
Number three is clients don't make a commitment to be financially successful. They just go on about their business and they don't take the time to plan. So we want our clients to educate themselves about personal finance. We want them to take a financial inventory. That's the net worth statement. We want them to manage credit wisely. We could spend an hour on that. And we want our clients to seek professional assistance. And that's what they do by coming to me so that they get an idea of what's out there and the most efficient way to do it. Number four is they don't invest early in life or on a regular basis. That's another word for dollar cost averaging. Putting in a specific amount of money at a specific interval, you'll have an explosion of value. So get in early, build it into your lifestyle, build it into your budget, make it a regular part of what you do. Number 5, don't use the tax laws to their advantage. Again, you have to play to win here. We want you to keep as much of your income as possible and pay as little tax as possible. Number 6, don't allocate assets properly and adjust as needed. Well, there again, we believe in asset allocation. We want the risk in your portfolio to really mirror what you're trying to do and the timeline you're trying to do it in. Too much risk over a short period of time can create a real nightmare for you. Number 7, don't plan for the unexpected. You have to have an emergency fund. It's something we recommend all our clients have, and it really reduces stress if something were to happen. We talked about the car dying or the roof caving in or a new hot water tank or the need to take a quick flight to visit a sick relative. Don't put it on your credit card. Put it on your credit card for convenience, but be able to pay that off every single month. Number 8, don't take advantage of your employer benefit plans. If your employer provides a retirement plan, get in, stay in, and reinvest along the way. Start out at a certain level. We call it the minimum maximum. What's the minimum you have to put in to get the maximum match? That's a great place to start, and then add to it once or twice a year. If someone was putting in $50 a month, and I said once a year add 10% to your, well, that's only going up by $5. Anybody can do that. So twice a year, add 10% to that, and make it a little game. Make it a priority, okay? Because if you're going to be retired for 25 or 35 years, you're going to need some assets to carry you through. Number 9, don't properly plan their estate. This can be as simple as a will up to a very complex estate planning, but spend some time to get it right so you know that your assets at your death go to exactly who you want it to go to in a time frame that's very reasonable.
Okay.
And number 10, people don't create a comprehensive financial plan. It doesn't have to be 45 pages long, but we want our clients to write it down, to have goals, revisit those goals from time to time, so that gives them the backbone to make decisions, needs or wants. I'd like to get the Lexus, but the Toyota will do fine. It's a perfect example. So the comprehensive financial plan will keep you on track. And that's part of what we do, is the accountability factor. We want to make sure that you see through the goals you have set for yourself, and we want to keep you on track to reach those goals. And if the goal is retirement, and all of us want to retire someday, you really have to spend some time and stay on top of it. It's not a once a year, 1 hour a year type process. It's an updating process all the time.
Well, let's talk about that. I want you to break that down, number 10, just a little bit more, because I've heard financial planners say, the ultimate goal is retirement, and that's fine. But for some of your younger clients, Chip, that's pretty far out. So do you put other finish lines in place, or goals, or kind of, opportunities to celebrate with your clients when they've achieved something else while they're trying to achieve retirement?
Absolutely. Many people have multiple financial goals. It could be saving for a house initially. It could be saving for a second home or a vacation home. It could be saving or investing for college for the children. Today college costs are going up faster than the inflation in the economy. So saving money for college is key, because I think an education is the greatest gift you can give your child after love. And we want our children to be educated so that they can be successful in the world. So you don't go to college on a whim. You've got to have money to get there. So we break these things down. There's money for retirement. There's money for college. If saving for a second home is important, again, it doesn't happen overnight, but let's make a plan, put some dollars in place. If you're going to need 20 or 30% down, how much would that be? Over what period of time? Break it down monthly. And clients buy into that. They really do. And when they achieve that goal, it's awesome.
Well, Chip, so if somebody wants to go through your planning process and really attack these retirement roadblocks, what is the best way for them to get in touch with you?
Well, they can go on my website and look and see my numbers or my email. They could call my office and schedule a time with Lisa to come in. When somebody comes in to see me the first time, we're asking a lot of questions. They're asking me how I work. I'm asking them what they think and what their goals are. And it's complimentary. There's no charge for a first consultation. And we're trying to find some common ground. And the clients we're looking for are the people that really want to be proactive, that really are looking over the horizon, planning for the future, and we can help them get there. And it's an ongoing process. We want to review on a constant basis, a continual basis, so that they stay on track. So they can call my office, they can schedule a time, they can go on the website, request a phone call or a meeting or something like that. But come in, spend an hour with us. Tell us what your goals and dreams are, where you are right now, and let's put a plan together so that you can achieve those goals and really feel confident every night when you go to sleep. Hey, I'm doing it right.
Well, give us your phone number. I'm sorry to interrupt, but before you keep going there, tell us what your phone number is.
The number in the office is area code 315-701-4440.
All right, and the website?
The website is retirewithria.com.
I'm sorry to interrupt you there, but just what would be if you could just do if you could have 30 seconds and every single solitary person in the world would listen to Chip Coughlin about finance or about life, what sort of wisdom would you impart?
Well, I would say that people are passionate about a number of things. Their families, of course, they're passionate about sports, they're passionate about different lifestyle issues. I would ask them to be passionate about their finances. Don't treat it as an abstract. Treat it as something that you're involved in on an ongoing basis that really will have a big impact on your life and your standard of living going forward. And spend the time to do the planning to get it right. Have some financial goals, set them down, make it yours, and you'll achieve those goals over time. Again, Rome wasn't built in a day, neither can your financial empire. But this is one of those things where a little planning goes a long way.
Well, thank you for your time today, Chip.
All right, I appreciate it, Matt.
We just finished interviewing Chip Coughlin, founder and president of Retirement Income Analysts in Syracuse, New York. I'm Matt Halloran for Top Advisor Radio. Have a wonderful day.
Thanks for listening to the Retirement Planning Show, your source for financial strategies to help you retire with confidence. Featuring Chip Coughlin of Retirement Income Analysts in Syracuse, New York. Chip is a registered representative offering securities through First Allied Securities Incorporated, member FINRA SIPC. For more information and self-help tools, visit retirementincomeanalysts.com.